Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this virtual news conference with Minister Sean Fraser and Minister Soraya Martinez-Ferrada. I believe both ministers may have some brief remarks before we hand it over to questions on Zoom, so I will pass it over to the ministers. Thank you.
Excellent, merci tout le monde. J'apprécie l'opportunité pour discuter une bonne annonce aujourd'hui. We are going to be releasing a plan to address the housing crisis tomorrow that will focus on three key areas. The first is to enable Canada to build more homes. The second is to make it easier to rent or buy. And the third is to ensure there is support for those who cannot afford a place to live. Today, we're going to discuss a series of specific measures focused on efforts to make it easier for people to buy their first home. We've previously announced an important change that will allow those who pay their rent on time to count it towards boosting their credit score, which is a barrier for a certain number of Canadians who are trying to establish a basic level of credit in order to transition from being a renter towards a homeowner. But today, we're announcing further measures that are going to help with that journey towards home ownership. In order to get people into a home of their own, a bottleneck for a lot of Canadians is saving up for the down payment required to purchase their first home. We've previously moved forward with the First Home Savings Account, which allows a tax-free savings opportunity, both tax-free in and tax-free out. And we've now seen more than 750,000 Canadians, disproportionately young Canadians, have signed up for this tax-free savings opportunity towards the purchase of that first home by putting money away for a down payment. Today, we've announced additional support to help with that down payment, including changes to the Home Buyers Plan. This is a program that allows Canadians to withdraw savings from their RRSP to go towards the purchase of their first home. Specifically, the changes include an increase of the limit of withdrawal from your RRSP from $35,000 to $60,000, making it easier for Canadians to save up for a down payment. In addition, we're extending the grace period during which no repayment is required from 2 years to 5 years. That will make it easier for Canadians to save up for their down payment. Now, we also want to address the challenge of monthly mortgage payments. And today we're moving forward with changes to the amortization period that will spread out those payments over a longer period of time, reducing the monthly mortgage costs. Specifically, we're going to be increasing the amortization period for first-time home buyers from 25 to 30 years for those who are purchasing a new home. This is going to create an opportunity for us both to make it more affordable for people to manage the cost of a mortgage and also encouraging more supply by focusing on new measures at a time we're watching very closely the impact of housing policies on the demand that exists in the system. We want to make sure that our policies are both working in the same direction, and by reducing the monthly cost but helping people get into their first home, we believe we can make a meaningful difference. As you can see, we're focused on the entire journey of person experiences as they transition towards home ownership, whether it's establishing that credit history, whether it's saving up for the down payment, or whether it's reducing the monthly cost through an extended amortization period. My honest belief is that we can solve the housing crisis, and it has to include an opportunity for a generation of young Canadians who today feel like they've been priced out of the market. The measures we've announced today are going to help significantly, and I'm looking forward to taking your questions après l'intervention de ma collègue Soraya.
Merci beaucoup, Sean. Alors, un peu l'annonce en français. Donc, plus tôt aujourd'hui, la vice-première ministre et mon collègue ont annoncé une série de mesures dans le budget pour aider davantage les Canadiens et Canadiennes qui souhaiteraient accéder à un logement, mais entre autres accéder à la propriété. Donc, la première annonce que nous avons faite aujourd'hui, c'est que nous allons aider les acheteurs d'une première propriété à épargner plus rapidement en vue d'une mise de fonds. Pour aider les gens à verser une mise de fonds plus rapidement, nous allons faire passer de 35 000 à 60 000 la limite de retraite du régime d'accession à la propriété. C'est un excellent moyen, le régime d'accession à la propriété, qui permet de retirer vos régimes enregistrés d'épargne retraite pour une habitation. Les cotisations qui sont déductibles d'impôts et tous les revenus sont exonérés d'impôts. Cela s'ajoute aux programmes existants, comme le compte d'épargne pour une première maison libre d'impôt, le CELIAP, qui est déductible d'impôts et a maintenant aidé plus de 750 000 Canadiens à épargner plus rapidement pour une maison. Deuxièmement, nous allons aider les acheteurs d'une première propriété à obtenir un prêt hypothécaire. Le gouvernement renforce la charte hypothécaire canadienne afin d'offrir une période d'amortissement de 30 ans, exclusivement aux acheteurs d'une première propriété. Nous prolongerons ainsi de 3 ans le délai de grâce pour le remboursement des retraits effectués entre 2022 et 2025, une période où le coût de la vie était extrêmement élevé. Ainsi, les gens qui ont fait des retraits n'auront pas à se soucier du remboursement pendant 5 ans. Un couple qui a retiré le maximum en 2022 et qui compte le rembourser l'année prochaine pourra ainsi conserver près de 5 000 par année supplémentaire. Finalement, nous allons aider les propriétaires actuels. Nous améliorons la charte hypothécaire canadienne afin d'apporter un soutien supplémentaire aux Canadiens confrontés à des difficultés hypothécaires. Ces améliorations comprennent l'attente du prolongement permanent de la période d'amortissement pour tous les emprunteurs. Lorsque les critères de difficulté fixés par les assureurs et les prêteurs sont remplis. Comme le disait mon collègue Sean, actuellement, de nombreux Canadiens ont raison de s'inquiéter à ce moment et ces changements rendent le système plus juste, plus compréhensif, va faire partie des solutions parce que non seulement les gens doivent acquérir un logement, mais il faut aussi aider nous, toute une génération, à être capable d'accéder aussi à la propriété. Et les mesures et les annonces qu'on fait s'ajoutent à toutes celles qu'on a déjà faites depuis maintenant plus d'une semaine pour, ensemble, sur plusieurs solutions, faire face à la crise qu'on a au niveau du logement. Merci.
Okay, thank you, ministers. Merci les ministres. Donc, on va commencer la période des questions. We're going to start the question period. Looks like we only have 2 journalists on the line. So one question, one follow-up. It looks like the first question, Marco Vigliati, iPolitics, over to you.
Great. Thanks, Noah. To Minister Fraser, my first question is about the PBO report that was released today. I know it just came out this morning, but I had a chat with Mike Moffat, and he said essentially what we're looking at, or what the PBO is saying, and his numbers are saying, is that Canada needs to double the amount of housing starts it currently is averaging, we're currently dealing with, by 2030 to bring affordability back to the marketplace, as opposed to maybe the tripling. I think this based on the CMHC numbers. Is that where your numbers are at when it comes to your projections and the housing measures that you announced before the budget, or in the budget, I should say? Are they going to bring Canada to that projection?
Thanks very much. I think that we can meet or exceed the targets outlined in the PBO report, which is similar both in scale and methodology to the numbers produced by the Place Center, who's asked similar questions. The measures that we're putting forward are going to do more than the federal government's share when it comes to the heavy lifting need to solve the housing crisis. But we do need provinces and cities to adopt the similar level of ambition, given the obvious role they have in light of their jurisdiction over some of these issues. But when it comes to meeting the supply gap outlined in the PBO's report, to answer your question, I believe it's achievable, and I believe we can exceed the targets.
And just a follow-up. I know that part of the thinking when the former Conservative government reduced the amortization, maximum amortization period to 25 years was the high indebtedness of Canadians. And I think a report from StatsCan from last month said that in 2021, Canadian household debt was around 180% based on income, which is one of the highest among developed countries. Considering all that, are you concerned that by extending the period, I know it's limited to just first-time homebuyers, but are you concerned that this will only kind of drive the level of indebtedness higher, considering that household debt is one of the biggest factors driving up debt in Canada?
Look, that's certainly a very important issue, and I don't want to diminish the significance of household debt that exists in Canada. But keep in mind that this policy change is not happening in isolation. The combined impact of the first home savings account, which a person can save up to $40,000 tax-free, both again tax-free in and tax-free out, in addition to the tax-free savings for the RRSP that will represent significant savings, has the potential to offset potential increased borrowing that may take place as a result of more people being able to qualify for a mortgage with monthly payments that they can actually afford. We're focused on making sure that we're looking across the continuum of a person's transition towards home ownership, that we can reduce the overall financial burden on the household. We believe that the changes today, when considered in their totality rather than looking at any one specific pillar, are going to allow more Canadians to get into the housing market, but importantly, to your point, at prices that they're actually going to be able to afford, both in the short term and over the course of the mortgage that they hold. Keep in mind again that when you're dealing with first-time home buyers, disproportionately you're dealing with people who are earlier in their career, and by extending the amortization to 30 years, most people are going to be still within their working life and able to manage those expenses. But when you factor in the significant tax savings that first-time home buyers will benefit from, when you consider both the first home savings account and now the changes to the home buyers program, we believe we can protect against the overall increase to household debt. At the same time, we bring down the monthly cost of a mortgage and encourage people to save up for that down payment.
Thanks.
Sheila from Omni, are you on the line? Do you have a question for the ministers? Go ahead. Oh, Sheila, it looks like you might still be on mute. Do you want to? Oh, Sheila, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, here we go. Okay, you go ahead, Sheila. Oh, apologies. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties.
I do see Sheila appears to be on mute on my screen. So
yeah, it looks like she's still on mute. We'll just give it a second there, ministers, before we finish this news conference. Apologies. Okay, it looks like perhaps Sheila might be having some technical difficulties, and I don't see any other questions on the line. So thank you so much, ministers, for your time, for taking questions, and we'll conclude the press conference. Have a good afternoon.
Sheila, if you can hear us, we will be available tomorrow to
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, everyone.